The silent sentinel, Captain Elena Reyes, stood at the viewport of observation post Artemis, staring into the vast emptiness of space. The small, unassuming station orbited a dwarf planet in an unremarkable system at the edge of the Perseus Arm, deliberately designed to appear as nothing more than an automated mining outpost. To the casual observer, and more importantly, to the sophisticated scanners of the Krell Dominion, it registered as just another resource extraction facility operated by the Galactic Commonwealth. Only it wasn't. "Status report," Elena said, her voice cutting through the quiet hum of the station's life support systems. Lieutenant Kira Zhao looked up from her console. "All systems nominal, Captain. Perimeter sensors show no unusual activity. The nearest Krell patrol is 3 systems away and maintaining standard route." Elena nodded, her expression unchanged. At 42, she wore her years with quiet dignity, dark hair pulled back in a regulation bun, eyes that had seen too much yet revealed too little, and the slight lines around her mouth that spoke of decisions no one should have to make. "And the Lazarus Protocol?" she asked, her voice deliberately casual. "Status green," Kira replied. "All nodes maintaining dormancy. No activation triggers detected." Elena allowed herself the smallest smile. 70 years since the fall of Earth, 70 years of playing the part of a defeated species, and still the greatest secret in the galaxy remained intact. The fall had been a masterpiece of deception, a gambit so audacious that even now, Elena marveled at the foresight of their predecessors. When the Krell Dominion had arrived in the Sol system with their vast armada, humanity had appeared to fight with primitive vessels and desperate courage, only to be overwhelmed. The official history, accepted by every species in the Commonwealth, spoke of humanity's noble but futile resistance, their eventual surrender, and their acceptance of protectorate status under Krell supervision. What no one knew, what no one could know, was that it had all been theater. "Captain," called Ensign Thomas Rice, her nephew and communications specialist, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Outpost Hermes. It's using the emergency protocols." Elena frowned. Emergency protocols meant something had broken through the carefully maintained facade. "Put it through to my private terminal," she ordered, moving swiftly to her station. The message was brief, encoded, and terrifying. "Creole High Command authorized Operation FIREBREAK. Implementation timeline 14 solar days. Complete sterilization of all recognized human colonies. Confirmation required." Elena's blood ran cold. Operation Firebreak. The Krell had finally decided to eliminate humanity entirely. "Contact Director Ishida immediately," she commanded. "Priority Alpha." While the station's quantum entanglement communicator established connection with Earth's secret underground command center, Elena pulled up the Lazarus Protocol. For 70 years, it had remained dormant, the ultimate contingency plan that no one had truly believed would be necessary. Director Akira Ishida's face appeared on her screen, his expression grim. "I've received the same intelligence, Captain." The Krell Supreme Council voted unanimously. They believe humans are developing prohibited technologies in secret. "They're not wrong," Elena said dryly. "No, but their timing is inconvenient," Ishida replied. "We're not fully prepared for activation. The 7th Fleet is still in deep hibernation, and the command structure for the 3rd hasn't been finalized." Elena leaned closer to the screen. "Director, with respect, we're out of time. If the Krell implement Firebreak, we lose everything. Not just our colonies, but our chance to ever reclaim our place in the galaxy." Ishida's eyes closed briefly, the weight of the decision visible in every line of his face. "The Lazarus Committee is meeting in 1 hour. I want you there, Captain." "I'll be ready," she confirmed. After the transmission ended, Elena stood motionless, feeling the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. 70 years ago, facing a technologically superior enemy that had already subjugated a dozen species, Humanity had made an impossible choice: to appear defeated while preserving their true strength in absolute secrecy. The real human fleet, the products of centuries of technological advancement that had been carefully hidden from the rest of the galaxy, had been scattered to remote locations throughout known space, placed in deep hibernation under the care of automated systems and a skeleton crew of human guardians. Meanwhile, Earth and its colonies had played their part, accepting the humiliation of defeat and the restrictions imposed by their conquerors. "Captain," Kira's voice pulled her from her thoughts. Is it time?" Elena studied her second-in-command. Like all members of the Silent Sentinel program, Kira had been born into secrecy, raised with the knowledge that humanity's survival depended on maintaining the illusion of submission. She had never known a world where humans stood as equals among the stars. "The committee will decide," Elena answered. "But yes, Lieutenant, I believe Lazarus is about to wake." The Lazarus Committee convened in a chamber 2 kilometers beneath the surface of what had once been the city of Geneva. The underground complex, shielded from all known forms of detection, served as the true heart of human governance, while the puppet government that officially represented humanity to the Commonwealth operated from the visible ruins of Washington, D.C. Elena's physical presence wasn't possible. Instead, her hologram stood among the 12 individuals who would decide humanity's course. Director Ishida sat at the head of the ancient oak table, a deliberate anachronism in a room otherwise filled with technology far beyond what the Krell believed humans possessed. Operation Firebreak has been confirmed by 3 independent sources. Admiral Helena Sung, head of defense, announced without preamble. "The Krell intend to eliminate our species in the name of security. Their official justification will be discovery of prohibited research, which we are certainly conducting," noted Dr. Edward Chen, the committee's senior scientist. "Though not in any facility they've discovered. The question before us is not whether the Krell threat is real," Ishida said, his voice steady. "It's whether the time has come to implement Lazarus." Captain Julian Beakey, commander of Earth's defensive grid, leaned forward. "We've maintained this deception for 70 years, building our strength in secret while appearing compliant. Activating Lazarus means revealing everything. There will be no going back. And if we don't activate it, there will be no going forward," Elena countered. 14 days until Firebreak begins. Even if only half our colonies are destroyed, that's billions of lives." The debate continued for hours. Elena understood the hesitation. Lazarus had always been viewed as a last resort, a final option when all other strategies failed. Its implementation would irrevocably change humanity's place in the galaxy, for better or worse. The original architects of Lazarus designed it for precisely this scenario, Elena reminded them. They knew that eventually, the Krell would decide that even a subjugated humanity posed too great a threat to their dominance. "Captain Rice is right," said Maria Gonzalez, the civilian representative. "We've prepared for generations. We've hidden our fleets, preserved our knowledge, maintained the facade of compliance, all for this moment." Ishida looked at each committee member in turn, reading their expressions, weighing their counsel. Finally, he turned to Elena. "Captain Rice, as commander of Observation Post Artemis, you oversee the primary activation node for the Perseus Arm fleet elements. The committee requires your assessment. Are we ready?" Elena felt the weight of 3 generations of planning, sacrifice, and patience culminating in this moment. "Director, no military operation in history has ever had ideal conditions. There are gaps in our readiness, yes. But the Lazarus protocol was designed with redundancies specifically because we knew activation might come before we were fully prepared." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "The question isn't whether we're ready. It's whether we can afford to wait. And we cannot." Silence fell over the chamber. Then, one by one, the committee members activated the authorization protocols on their terminals. 12 confirmations appeared on the central display. Ishida's expression was solemn as he turned to Elena. "Captain Rice, as the senior field commander currently on active duty, You are hereby authorized to implement the Lazarus Protocol. May God have mercy on us all." Back at observation post Artemis, Alina stood before her assembled crew, all 23 of them, the entire complement of the station that was about to become the focal point of humanity's resurgence. "For 3 generations," she began, "we have hidden our strength. We have endured humiliation, restriction, and the constant threat of extinction. We have lived with the knowledge that at any moment, the Krell might decide that even a defeated humanity is too dangerous to permit." She looked at their faces, some afraid, some resolute, all carrying the burden of secrecy that had defined their lives. That moment has come. In 14 days, the Krell Dominion plans to implement Operation Firebreak, the systematic destruction of every recognized human colony. Murmurs broke out among the crew. Alina raised her hand for silence. "We will not allow this to happen. The Lazarus Committee has unanimously authorized activation of the protocol. As we speak, similar briefings are occurring at observation posts throughout the galaxy. For the first time in 70 years, humanity will reveal its true face to the stars." She turned to Kira. "Lieutenant Zhao, begin transmission of the activation codes to all Perseus Arm nodes." "Yes, Captain," Kira replied, her fingers already dancing across her console. Alina moved to the central command station and placed her palm on the authentication panel. A hidden compartment opened, revealing a small crystalline device, the master key for the Perseus fleet. She inserted it into the command console. "Attention all hands," she announced, her voice steady despite the enormity of what she was about to do. "Operation Lazarus is now active. May we be worthy of those who came before us, and may those who come after us understand why we chose this day to awaken." She entered the final command sequence. Throughout the Perseus Arm, in supposedly empty asteroid fields, within the coronas of unremarkable stars, buried beneath the surfaces of dead moons, ancient systems began to stir. Power cores that had lain dormant for decades initiated startup sequences. Environmental systems activated, preparing long-preserved atmospheres for human habitation. And in secure chambers throughout the hidden network, cryostasis pods began the careful process of reviving their occupants, the officers and crew of humanity's true fleet, preserved against this very day. The first vessel to fully activate was the HCSS Prometheus, a dreadnought of the First Fleet, hidden within the corona of a red giant. As its engines powered up for the first time in 7 decades, its transponder activated, broadcasting on a frequency that no Krell system was designed to detect. The message was simple: Lazarus rises. On observation post Artemis, Alina watched as confirmation signals began appearing on her display. 1, then 10, then hundreds. Across the Perseus Arm, humanity's hidden strength was awakening. "Captain," Thomas called, his voice filled with wonder. "The Prometheus reports full combat readiness. Admiral Chen sends his compliments and awaits your coordination data." Alina felt a surge of emotion: pride, fear, determination. Admiral Marcus Chen, the legendary fleet commander who had volunteered for cryostasis to lead this day, was awake and ready. "Send my respects to the Admiral," she replied, "and inform him that Operation Lazarus Phase 1 is complete. We are now initiating Phase 2. Outside the viewport, the stars remained unchanged, the universe seemingly unaware of the momentous shift that had just occurred. But Alina knew the truth. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity had never been truly defeated, merely waiting, gathering strength, preparing for this very moment. The reckoning was coming. Awakening giants. Admiral Marcus Chen opened his eyes to darkness. For a moment, disorientation clouded his thoughts, a side effect of 70 years in cryostasis. Then, as the hibernation chamber systems continued their revival protocols, awareness returned. He remembered the mission, the sacrifice, the promise. "Admiral," a synthetic voice stated calmly, "cryostasis revival complete. Vital signs stable. Cognitive functions normalizing. Soft blue light gradually illuminated the chamber as the lid retracted. Chen slowly sat up, his muscles responding better than expected thanks to the neural stimulation program that had maintained them during his long sleep. At 68, chronologically, now 138, Admiral Marcus Chen remained an imposing figure. His frame was lean and wiry, face weathered by decades of command decisions before entering stasis. As the ship's artificial gravity took hold, he carefully stood, accepting the assistance of the medical drones that hovered nearby. "Status report," he ordered, voice rough from disuse. "Each seized Prometheus, fully operational." The ship's AI responded. "All systems at 96% efficiency. Command crew revival at 83% completion. Tactical and engineering crews at 61%. Fleet communication network established. Operation Lazarus has been initiated by Captain Alina Reyes of Observation Post Artemis." Chen nodded, memories aligning with present reality. Timeline. Krill Operation Firebreak scheduled to commence in 13 days, 7 hours. The Lazarus protocol has been active for 6 hours, 23 minutes. Chen absorbed this information as he dressed in the uniform that had been waiting 70 years for this moment. Midnight blue with silver trim, bearing the insignia of the Earth Defense Force, rather than the submissive protectorate badges humans had worn since the fall. "Show me the fleet status," he commanded. The chamber's wall transformed into a tactical display, showing the Perseus arm and beyond. Hundreds of blue dots pulsed across the map, each representing a vessel or installation awakening from hibernation. Red markers indicated known Krell military positions, oblivious to the armada stirring around them. First Fleet reporting 82% operational readiness. The AI continued. Third Fleet at 67%. Fifth Fleet at 74%. Seventh Fleet activation remains at preliminary stages. Chen studied the display, noting with satisfaction that the revival process was proceeding faster than the original projections. 70 years ago, when the decision had been made to hide humanity's true strength rather than face certain defeat, there had been no guarantee that the technology would function perfectly after decades of dormancy. Yet here they were, awakening to fight the battle they had postponed. "I need to speak with Captain Reyes," Chen said, making his way toward the bridge. "And prepare a briefing with all awakened command staff in 1 hour." As he walked through the corridors of the Prometheus, Chen observed crews emerging from stasis, taking their stations, some looking dazed, but all moving with purpose. The ship, a marvel of engineering even by modern standards, stretched 2 kilometers from bow to stern, housing weapon systems that would shock the Krell, who believed humans incapable of such technology. The bridge hummed with activity when Chen arrived. Officers snapped to attention, many seeing their legendary commander in person for the first time. "Admiral on deck," announced Commander Sarah Okafor, his executive officer. "As you were," Chen said, moving to the central command station. "Open a channel to Captain Reyes." Moments later, Alina's face appeared on the main view screen. She showed no surprise at seeing the Admiral, merely nodded in respectful acknowledgement. "Admiral Chen, it's an honor to see you awake, sir." "The honor is mine, Captain. Your vigilance has brought us to this moment." Chen studied her face, reading the determination there. "Brief me on current Krell movements." "Their fleet remains dispersed across normal patrol patterns," Alina reported. "Our intelligence suggests they're requisitioning additional vessels for firebreak, but operational security has been tight. They don't appear to have detected any Lazarus activations yet." "Then we maintain our advantage," Chen nodded. "What's the status of our deep cover assets within Krell territory?" 86% have acknowledged the activation signal. Extraction operations are underway for critical personnel. Others will remain in place to provide intelligence and, if necessary, sabotage options. Chen absorbed this information, mentally calculating timelines and probabilities. "Captain, I'm designating Observation Post Artemis as our forward coordination center until the fleet is fully operational. The Prometheus will rendezvous with you in 6 hours. We'll be ready, Admiral. After the transmission ended, Chen turned to his assembled bridge crew. Many had served with him before stasis. Others knew him only by reputation. All understood the historic nature of this moment. Ladies and gentlemen, he began, 70 years ago, humanity made a strategic decision. Rather than face certain defeat against the Krell, we chose to appear weak while preserving our strength. We allowed the galaxy to believe we had been conquered, while in reality, we waited for the right moment to reveal the truth. He moved to the tactical display, gesturing at the awakening fleet. That moment has arrived. The Krell have decided that even a subjugated humanity poses too great a threat to their dominance. In 13 days, they plan to exterminate our species entirely. The bridge fell silent, the weight of his words settling over the crew. We will not allow this to happen, Chen continued, his voice hardening. Operation Lazarus was designed for precisely this scenario. We have the elements of surprise, physician, and contrary to Krell belief, technology. Now we must use these advantages decisively. Commander Okafor stepped forward. Sir, what are your orders? Chen's expression was grim but determined. Prepare for war. 6 hours later, the Prometheus emerged from its hiding place within the star's corona, its advanced shielding systems protecting it from the intense radiation and heat that had concealed it for 7 decades. The massive vessel moved with surprising grace, its subliminal drives engaging as it set course for observation post Artemis. In the observation lounge, Chen stood with his senior staff, watching the stars blur as the ship accelerated. The Krell will detect us once we break from the star's interference pattern, noted Commander Zayn Malik, tactical officer. Their response time is estimated at 30 minutes to the nearest patrol. By then, we'll be at Artemis, Chen replied, and ready to make our statement. Fleet Commander Diana Rice, Alina's mother and Chen's longtime friend, studied the tactical display. At 76, she had been one of the oldest officers to enter stasis, a decision made to ensure continuity of command when Lazarus finally activated. Marcus, she said quietly, using the privilege of their decades of friendship, we've awakened nearly 400 vessels so far. The Krell can field thousands. Numbers aren't everything, Diana, Chen replied. The Krell believe our technology is at least a century behind theirs. In reality, we leapfrogged them while playing possum, Diana finished with a grim smile. But we've never tested these systems in actual combat. All our simulations, all our theories, they remain untested. Chen understood her concern. The Lazarus Protocol had been a desperate gamble, born in humanity's darkest hour. For 70 years, the hidden fleet had been maintained, upgraded when possible, but never engaged in the conflicts that would normally hone a military force. We'll test one vessel first, he decided, a controlled demonstration that serves both tactical and psychological purposes. Diana raised an eyebrow. You want to make a statement. I want the Krell to understand exactly what they're facing, Chen corrected. And I want the rest of the galaxy to witness it. Captain Alina Reyes watched in awe as the Prometheus approached observation post Artemis. Even knowing what to expect, the sight of the massive warship, a vessel from humanity's hidden history, stirring to life after decades of hibernation, stirred powerful emotions. It's magnificent, whispered Kira, standing beside her at the viewport. And just one of hundreds, Alina replied. Soon to be thousands. The Prometheus dwarfed the observation post, its sleek design belying its immense firepower. Unlike the boxy, utilitarian vessels the Krell permitted humans to operate, the dreadnought represented the pinnacle of human military engineering before the fall, and the subsequent advancements integrated during its long sleep. Captain, called Ensign Thomas, we're detecting Krell patrol vessels altering course. They've spotted the Prometheus. Elena nodded, unsurprised. Right on schedule. Open a channel to Admiral Chen. The Admiral's face appeared on her screen, calm and resolute. Captain Reyes, I trust your station is prepared for distinguished visitors. We've rolled out the very small red carpet, Admiral, she replied with the hint of a smile. Krell patrols have altered course to investigate. 3 vessels, Talon class. As expected. Prepare your crew, Captain. History is about to witness its first demonstration of Operation Lazarus. As the transmission ended, Elena turned to her crew. All hands to battle stations. Activate defensive protocols and prepare for potential engagement. The observation post, disguised as a mining facility but harboring military-grade shielding and weapons systems, hummed to life, shedding its facade of obsolete technology. Within 20 minutes, the Krell patrol ships came into visual range, sleek, predatory vessels with the distinctive forward-swept wings that had terrorized a dozen species. Each carried enough firepower to reduce the apparent mining station to atoms. They're hailing us, Thomas reported. Standard identification request. Elena straightened her uniform, still bearing the submissive protectorate insignia, and nodded. On screen, the face that appeared belonged to a Krell patrol commander, reptilian features arranged in an expression of suspicion, scales gleaming dully in the light of his bridge. Human outpost. The commander said without preamble, "You are in proximity to an unidentified vessel." Explain. Elena assumed the deferential posture expected of humans when addressing Krell authorities. "Commander, we detected the vessel but have been unable to identify it. It doesn't match any registry in our database." The Krell's vertical pupils narrowed. "Scans indicate it is of human design, yet it possesses technology beyond your permitted development level. Explain this discrepancy." "I cannot, Commander. We..." The Krell cut her off with a dismissive gesture. "Your mining outpost will submit to immediate inspection. Prepare to be boarded." Before Elena could respond, the view screen split to show Admiral Chen, now dressed in full military regalia with the Earth Defense Force insignia prominently displayed. "That won't be necessary, Commander," Chen said, his voice level but commanding. "Captain Reyes and her crew are now under the protection of the Earth Defense Force." The Krell commander's expression shifted from suspicion to shock. "Earth Defense Force? No such organization exists. Human military forces were disbanded after the pacification." Chen's smile was cold. "A convenient fiction, Commander. One we allowed you to believe for 70 years. The Krell recovered quickly, scales flaring in anger. "Whatever game you're playing, human, it ends now. Your vessel will power down and prepare for boarding, or we will open fire." "I would advise against that course of action," Chen replied calmly. "But I understand you require a demonstration." He nodded to someone off-screen, and the transmission from the Prometheus ended. On her tactical display, Elena watched as the massive warship oriented toward the Krell patrol vessels, which were now moving into attack formation, their weapons powering up. "All personnel, brace for potential shockwave," she ordered, though she knew the Prometheus's systems would prevent any collateral damage to the station. Outside, the lead Krell vessel fired first, a salvo of high-energy plasma that streaked toward the Prometheus. In every previous encounter with human ships, such an attack would have been devastating. This time, the plasma washed harmlessly over an invisible barrier 200 meters from the Prometheus's hull. The shield, utilizing technology the Krell believed was centuries beyond human capability, didn't merely absorb the attack, it redirected the energy, dispersing it into subspace. "My God," breathed Kira. It worked perfectly. The Prometheus remained motionless, making no move to return fire. The Krell, clearly shocked by the failure of their attack, launched a more powerful barrage, with identical results. Then, after allowing the Krell to exhaust their initial fury, the Prometheus responded. A single beam of concentrated energy, so precisely focused it was nearly invisible, lanced out from a port on the warship's bow. It struck the lead Krell vessel not to destroy, but to disable, slicing through its propulsion systems with surgical precision. The Krell ship listed, its engines dead, life support, and other critical systems untouched. The remaining patrol vessels broke formation, attempting evasive maneuvers. The Prometheus tracked them effortlessly, dispatching immobilizing shots that left both vessels adrift but intact. "Admiral Chen is hailing the Krell commander," Thomas reported, his voice tinged with awe. On screen, the Krell's expression had transformed from arrogance to stunned disbelief. Behind him, his bridge crew worked frantically to restore systems. "Commander," Chen said, his voice level, "your vessels have been disabled, not destroyed." This was a demonstration, not an act of war, though I would be within my rights to respond more aggressively to your unprovoked attack. The Krell's voice shook with a combination of fear and rage. "What is this? The technology you're using is impossible. Humans don't possess such capabilities." "Another convenient fiction," Chen replied. "One that ends today. Your vessels will be towed to the nearest Krell outpost by automated drones. You will deliver a message to your superiors. Operation Firebreak is known to us, and will not be permitted to proceed. Any attempt to harm human colonies will be met with the full force of the Earth Defense Fleet." The Krell commander hissed, his species equivalent of a scornful laugh. "You think one advanced ship changes anything? The Dominion will crush this rebellion like all others." Chen's expression remained impassive. "This is not a rebellion, Commander. This is a revelation. Humanity was never truly defeated, merely waiting. Observe." At that moment, throughout the sector, dozens of previously hidden human vessels declotted from their hibernation locations, each as advanced as the Prometheus, each a testament to the technology humanity had concealed for generations. On the view screen, the Krell commander watched his tactical display with growing horror as more and more human ships appeared, forming a fleet that dwarfed any patrol force the Dominion could quickly assemble. "Impossible," he whispered. "No," Chen corrected. "Inevitable. For 70 years, you believe yourselves the masters of humanity. Today that illusion ends. We do not seek war, but we will no longer accept subjugation. The galaxy is about to change, Commander. I suggest you inform your superiors that they have a choice in how that change unfolds." The transmission cut off, leaving the Krell commander staring at a blank screen, the implications of what he had witnessed still sinking in. On observation post Artemis, Elena turned to her crew, seeing in their faces the same mixture of awe and vindication she felt herself. "And so it begins," she said quietly. Across the Perseus arm, the news spread at faster-than-light speeds through Krell communication channels, diplomatic back-channels, and merchant transmissions. Humanity, long thought subdued and technologically primitive, had revealed a hidden fleet of unprecedented power, the balance of power that had defined Galactic. The confrontation. Supreme Commander Vexter stood motionless before the holographic display, his scaled hands clasped behind his back as reports flooded in from across Krell territory. The chamber, a massive hexagonal room at the heart of the Dominion Command Center on Krell Prime, had fallen silent, the usual bustle of activity replaced by a tense, expectant hush. "How many?" he finally asked, his voice deceptively calm. Fleet Admiral Zircon, his most trusted officer, stepped forward. 2,314 vessels confirmed so far, Supreme Commander. Intelligence suggests there may be more still emerging from hibernation. Vexter's inner eyelids flickered, the only visible sign of his agitation. "And their capabilities. The preliminary analysis is concerning," Zircon admitted. "The 3 patrol ships disabled near the human mining station report weapons and defensive systems far beyond what we believe humans capable of developing. The precision of their attacks suggests targeting systems at least equal to our own, possibly superior." Vexter turned slowly, fixing his subordinate with an unblinking stare. "How is this possible? We have monitored human technology for 70 years. Their most advanced ships barely achieve 50% of our capabilities. A deception, Supreme Commander. It appears they deliberately showed us only what they wanted us to see. Around the chamber, other high-ranking Krell officials exchanged glances. Deception was not unknown in Krell society. Indeed, it was often admired as a tactical skill. But the scale of this human subterfuge was unprecedented. "And Operation Firebreak?" Vexstar asked. Zircon hesitated. "The operational timetable is compromised. The humans claim to know our plans in detail. We have a security breach," hissed Counselor Mexval from her position at the strategy table. "Perhaps even human infiltrators within our command structure." Vexstar considered this possibility. The humans had always been adaptable, their biology allowing them to endure environmental conditions that would kill most Krell. It was one of the many reasons the Dominion had decided to neutralize them after the pacification. Their potential as a species was too unpredictable, too dangerous. Now it seemed those fears had been justified. "This changes nothing," he declared. "Operation Firebreak will proceed as planned. Accelerate the timetable. We strike in 3 days, not 14. Zircon's scales darkened in alarm. "Supreme Commander, with respect, our forces are not yet fully assembled. And if the human fleet truly possesses the capabilities demonstrated at Artemis, then we must strike before they can fully coordinate." Vexstar interrupted. "These ships have been dormant for decades. Their crews will be disoriented, their command structure fragmented. We attack now with overwhelming force." He gestured at the tactical display, where red markers representing Krell military assets far outnumbered the blue indicators of known human vessels. "Dispatch the 1st, 3rd, and 7th battle groups to these coordinates," he ordered. "Target the largest concentrations of human ships. Meanwhile, Special Forces will proceed immediately to the designated human colonies and begin sterilization procedures." Counselor Mexval's throat sac expanded slightly, a sign of concern. "The Treaty of Gary prohibits planetary sterilization without Commonwealth approval. If we proceed, the other member species may." "The other species will do nothing," Vexstar